Yeah, LinkedIn's a communist. Let's see here. No, LinkedIn's a communist. Okay, we're live, Ben. We're live. We're back with a new show. Why we're back, I don't know, but we're here. We are. Bringing the closers is dead. R.I.P. Too soon. Uh,
Yep.
but here we are back with a new show called "Don't Let the Facts."
This is gonna be fun. The first one, I think we were just kind of testing the waters, trying to kind of toe the line in being professional at times and talk about some serious topics. I think that we
That was
pigeonholed ourselves because at the end of the day, I mean, there's only so much that you and I can say that's like actually going to be of value. And so I think we just took a
ready with value.
what's that?
The show peaks in value. Like when we say "Don't let the facts," like that's the peak of the value that we offer.
Oh no, clearly I know this one's going to be a lot better and a lot different in the sense that now like there's the expectations aren't there now. Like we just get to listen to the authentic Ryan Ray and hear a peek behind the curtain of the newsletter. I'm excited to kind of just see what comes of this thing. This is going to be fun.
Well, you sent over an agenda because you know I love agendas, and so I'm thankful for that.
Got to start off on the right foot.
What's the deal with no? Give my Jerry Seinfeld voice. What's the deal with Tesla? Legit or not? I mean, like that's how I read that. Like, what's the deal with Tesla? Legit or not? Will the company ever earn a net profit? So, 3 questions, 1 bullet point. Don't let the fact. And I'll let you start off. What is the deal with Tesla?
Just jumping right in, just ripping the Band-Aid off, out of the gate.
Let's go.
I think Tesla is easily one of those that, it's very polarizing, right? You're either a Tesla fanatic if you drive one, or, I think there's a lot of people that are on the bear case. Tesla is a great example of, if you look at the company and you look at the fundamentals of the financials and you look at the balance sheet and you look at the business, there's a lot not to like. I mean, the business hemorrhages hundreds of billions of dollars over its lifetime. It's been subsidized from the government time and time and time again. And so I think there's kind of this competing thesis of understanding that the goals of Tesla and the goals of Elon Musk and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to put together are incredibly lofty, very, very commendable. And I think there's a lot there that's on the positive. But when you look at the business, if it's a business that doesn't thrive, doesn't even exist without the government propping it up, then you start to talk about the capitalist angle. And right now, I think it's an apropos and an interesting conversation because of what we're going through and kind of seeing on the political landscape of left versus right, this move towards socialism, where to kind of infuse that quote unquote socialism or those funds to prop something up to kind of get to that next phase of efficacy. And so I think that's the other side. The other side of the coin is that I don't even think that Tesla or Elon Musk would tell you that, their goal is to be profitable right now. And I think the point is, and the goal is to kind of break the glass ceiling and bust through a lot of the barriers to entry in a number of different markets, but kind of at what cost? And so, do I think they'll ever earn a net profit? I personally do not. I don't think that they're going to. I think that they will end up being bought out by a larger machine at some point. That the company itself won't ever have been in existence for long enough to earn a profit. Now I want to make sure that I just kind of throw a disclaimer at the end here that none of that is necessarily a detractor or even a commentary on Elon Musk himself. I think that the stuff that he's doing with SpaceX and some of the other kind of entrepreneurial ventures are incredibly, like I said before, commendable and worthwhile projects. But maybe not on the government's dime. Maybe you and I shouldn't be subsidizing that going forward. I don't know if that's what I don't know if that was helpful at all, but that's like when people talk about Tesla, that's some of the things that I think about.
I'm just not entirely clear why you're against socialism.
Oh boy!
I mean, you seem to be against it, and I thought that was the way to go now.
See, this is on LinkedIn, and I've got people that follow me that like you can't be throwing that kind of shade.
We're blocked on LinkedIn right now. We're blocked. LinkedIn is the communist LinkedIn. Hashtag free DRW. We are blocked on LinkedIn. We will be there eventually, but we are on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and LinkedIn's got the little circle with the exclamation point that says no, not today, sir. not today. So,
shoot or shoot.
But you're against socialism, and I thought that was good. Is that bad?
Yes, for anyone listening, if like apples to apples, just like net socialism is bad. If you would like to make the argument that socialism is good, slide in the DMs. We're gonna have you on the podcast because Ryan and I are both gonna take you to task, just being honest. But if you would like,
if there's ever a moment for don't want the facts, is to bring on a communist or a socialist. Like that's like,
what I will say is that I think that this podcast, more than any other, you'll get to the bottom of it. You're going to hear both sides. If one side or the other makes a point that doesn't make sense or is just patently false, they're going to get called out. I mean, the political correctness angle of this, it doesn't exist on the airwaves here. So, open opportunity, open invite if you're on the other side of that. I mean, heck, if you're a climate change believer and you're really staunch on that hill, let's talk about that. I mean, we could go across the spectrum.
Chips, and you're going all in first episode.
I mean, the only way to get viewers, the only way to get listeners these days is to be controversial. So let's just go for it.
So Tesla, legit or not, you answered that. Will they ever? You answered all three. So I think here's the thing with Tesla, and the problem I have is, let's say 10 years from now, they are actually making money without subsidies. Okay, don't laugh yet. I'm just saying, let's just say that happens. The problem is the narrative will be see, the subsidies were worth it, or wow, this is why you should do those things. And that, I think, is kind of the danger here, is that if Tesla does ever turn the corner, then you look back in hindsight and go, well, it was money well spent. It's like, well, not necessarily. Like that's the problem with some of these narratives is it's like, well, yes, they're not making money now, but in the future they might develop something that's very good. And let me just put this out there for you, Ben. I think Tesla is actually up for a bigger fight than it realizes, and here's why. Let's say that in 2022 we're rolling around and they have the self-driving car thing locked down. And they say, you know what, we're going to go to Chevy, GMC, Toyota, whomever, and we're going to sell them this technology. It's software. We can put in your car. We can see the sensors. And so we're going to still make cars, but we're also going to license our technology to major car manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you have a problem because a lot of revenue in this country is earned off of people getting in wrecks, getting speeding tickets, running red lights, stuff like that. So I think the self-driving people, the self-driving movement has an obstacle that where is that revenue going to come from? So theoretically in 2022, and it's not going to happen, but if every car could be self-driving in 2022, police departments and local courts go out of business because I don't know about where you're at, but everywhere I've ever been, if you got a speeding ticket, it didn't matter if you went to court or not. You had to pay the court fee.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when you can no longer subsidize the courts by not having speeding tickets or wreck tickets or whatever? What do you do when there's no reason to have cops every 5 miles along the interstate? I think that's eventually where you're going to get at, and folks are going to be like, yeah, I'm not too sure about this. And so the police unions and the legislators, so then we're going to subsidize all of that stuff more. So I think there's a battle out there. Technology mastered.
I mean, yes and no, right? Because I think that once you start to go down that route, the country, the world, the country, and any state you live in, other than a couple of exceptions, they're in enough debt that that it's a self-fulfilling cycle, anyways, right? And so, like, if you're talking about like profitability in terms of or subsidizing the government, I mean, the government is a big subsidy. There's no profit when you run a government, right? It's all. Do you disagree?
No.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say, money machine goes brr or whatever the hell, right?
Hashtag Janet Yellen. Did you see?
Yes. Yes, exactly. So I mean, so like, I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, look, and you could take this conversation in any way, shape, or form. I mean, if you talk about the stimulus bills that came out this year for the Corona stuff, I mean, you're talking about bills that the taxpayers have to pay. The taxpayers are never going to pay that bill off. That is going to be a revolving line of credit that is never going anywhere, and so it is turned into a meaningless number. And so, like, the argument can be made that, okay, so if Tesla gets $500 million or $3 billion or $100 billion in government subsidies to do this, that, or the other, and take their program from phase 1 to phase 2, like, does it really matter? Does where the money comes from? It's not like they're actually receiving that money, right? They're just sort of getting it on credit. And so, does it actually matter if, to your point, if at the end of the day, the goal is achieved of the technology being rolled out in mass, in a deployable fashion that can be consumed, right? And if that's the case, if they get there, then I think to a degree you can make the argument that, like, whatever was spent is worth it, because the net impact and benefit of that, of like the Hyperloop or if every single person on Earth drove a Tesla, I mean, the net benefit to the other waterfall is strong enough. But like, at what cost? How long does it take you to actually get there? And the other piece of the puzzle is, okay, so now essentially the government has made a bet that Tesla will succeed. They're not making a bet that EV vehicles will succeed or automatically driving cars will succeed. They're making a bet that Tesla will, which by definition is axiomatically counterintuitive to capitalism, because now let's say some other company wanted to do it and they had a better process and a better way to do it. The government's already subsidized Tesla hundreds of billions of dollars. Do you think they're going to reverse course and go fund somebody else? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
You're making logical arguments and intertwining that with government thought process.
It's a dangerous tightrope. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Somebody's got to do it, though. I don't know. But do you agree? Do you disagree with anything I just said?
No, I mean, I think obviously I see why. I agree conceptually with what you're saying. I think there's some interesting debates that should happen in 2021 moving forward. And one that I'm leading the charge is why are we paying taxes? That is my banner now. Why are we paying taxes? And I'm being dead serious here. I'm being dead serious. If the debt is a meaningless number, which it is, I mean, it isn't, but it is the way they act. So when politicians want, the debt means nothing. They print more money when they feel like it. They buy corporate bonds, when they do this stuff. If it's meaningless, why am I paying you taxes? It would be much more efficient for you just to print the money that you need to run the government. Because guess what? That's what you already do. You already say, we collected $1, we're going to spend $40, so we're going to print $39. Just take that $1 and let me have it. My little portion of that $1, let me have it. So I am officially, no, you're not going to let me have it? Why? Why can I not have it?
I mean, if I had to say, I'll give it to you. I'll give you 3 of them, but you're asking the government. Good luck.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But no, I mean that's so I'm not for the student debt relief or any of this other stuff, but I am for the end of taxation at the federal and state level moving forward, because they print money at will, and that's where you have to, if you're going to argue with some of these practices, that's where you have to do it at. I think.
So it's interesting. It's interesting you brought up the student loan debt forgiveness thing. Let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's a good kind of microcosm of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna make a case here. I'm not necessarily going to tell you that I'm advocating for this case. I'm just going to make it and see how you respond. By and large, when the Republicans come into office, they're motivated and incentivized a lot of times to put together what are coined as relief programs for the middle class, but end up being just massive tax break packages for the wealthy, right? They've done this time and time again, and a number of times it's worked. It's had the intended effect of increasing jobs, and it seems to be a good system. But you know what? Yeah. So I was gonna go a different way, but I'll do it this way. When you start talking about debt loan forgiveness for students, you're talking about, and I understand the argument, there's definitely a very strong argument for, okay, well, if I got a student loan and I was super responsible and I paid it off, I'm not getting any benefit here. So, but parking that to the side for a second, and not to invalidate, just parking it to the side for a second, I think there's a really important dynamic of the understanding that the people that are going to receive the benefit of student loan forgiveness are individuals, and they are people, and they are Americans that have debt that in one way or another is not helping them take the next step. And so if you're asking me, and I know this is not the question, but if I was posed, hey, should these millions of students that have loans that they should pay off, but should, if we have the choice between paying that entirety of that loan forgiveness off and letting them get on with their life debt free, or let's write the laws so that Jamie Dimon and his cohorts can leech off another $100 billion in profit out of the real estate market because of mortgage rates over the next 15 years. Like, if I have a choice between the two, it's a no-brainer for me. Give the money to the people because Chase Bank and the airlines and the mortgage companies, they've all been bailed out multiple times before. Maybe let's give it to the person, and maybe it's a bad decision, but you know what? We've done the other bad decision, and you know what I mean. And so that's sort of
right. So I agree with the heart of your argument, which is if we're going to give money, I'd rather give it to Tammy, who graduated with $300,000 for her gender studies degree. Okay, I agree with that. I agree. I think though the issue is on some level is that the government is subsidizing these loans, and so when you look at it, they are creating this bubble just like they did with the housing problem, and so all of a sudden the government creates these bubbles that cause people to have access to capital that they should not have access to, and then those people get the capital because they don't understand what is going on, and then the government comes in and says, "Okay, well now we're going to bail you out." It's like, well, at what point is the government ever held accountable? And so person who's got a bunch of student loan debt, I do genuinely feel sorry for them. I'm not trying to diminish that, and that's why the taxation thing I think is where I like to start the argument, because when you get to taxation, then student loans and all this other stuff, that's kind of secondary. So if you move the window way over here and say there's no reason to ever pay taxes again because they're going to print money. Well, student loans or bailouts or all this other stuff, it becomes like, well, how do you deal with that? It's like, well, they're going to do it anyways. So if they're going to bail out the student loans, they're going to bail out the student loans. If they're going to, buy Apple bonds or, support Tesla, they're going to do that. The question is, for me, is why do I have to continue to pay taxes when you're going to spend money out of control with no brakes on the system, and you're going to be reckless? Why are you going to put me in jail if I don't pay my taxes? Because I don't think you go to jail for not paying your student loan debt. I don't know. I don't think you do. I think it's it's just bankruptcy and stuff like that. You go to jail for not paying your taxes. So for me, that's the more important issue is why are we paying taxes? And I'm not opposed to paying some level of taxation. Actually, a very small level, but I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is the continuance of bad policy decisions. Literally putting, I've got kids, got 4 of them. So the debt is now on like their kids. So, continuing to act like that doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then quit making me pay all this money on a yearly basis. And for a guy like you who's paying, Trump level of taxes, I'm surprised you're not upset.
$750 a year. By the way, anyone listening to the podcast today, if you have the direct line to whoever this Trump CPA is, I'd like a referral. I'll even cut you into a percentage of something. I'll cut you a percentage of the money I save. Just give it. I
cut you 30% of what I save if you get me this cat on the phone.
Help me, help you. Show me the money. There's a lot of Jerry Maguire quotes that I could go through here.
How that person did not make an appearance on every Fox News or NBC show or whatever. Like, I would have been on the world tour, and I would have started off with, yes, if you want these kind of savings, call 1-800-BEST-CPA. Like, that's how I started every interview.
I mean, if that CPA is not booked out of work until 2037, he's not doing it right. I mean, unbelievable.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Speaking of 2021 and the pressing taxes that are coming.
Don't worry. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to keep going.
2021, Ben. Are you ready for it? I think 2021 is going to be a train wreck of epic proportions.
Can you not say that given what we just went through? Can you not?
Facts. No, the facts. It doesn't matter. Like, no one knows. Is this a parody or being honest? Like, this is the beauty of this show. Like, a year from now, like, you said it on Don't Let the Facts. Like, right. Have you read the title of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Don't Let the Facts. Like, that's the whole point. Like, maybe I'm being serious. Maybe not. Okay. We should call this like how Trump would talk about things, because that's what we're doing. Like, hyperbole all the time. Quick Trump story for you. We're watching the campaign trail back before the election. and my son was sitting there. He's in Florida. Trump was, and so he wanted to watch, and so he's watching Trump talk. And about I don't know, he watched maybe 30 minutes an hour or whatever. So I come in there, and he goes, "Dad, have you ever noticed that Trump calls all of his people the best and all the other people the worst?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have." My 12-year-old has caught on the Trump narrative that 4 years the mainstream media has yet to figure out. So, anyways, don't let the facts. Anyways, 2021. I got a feeling that 2021 is going to be the biggest smear campaign in the history of smear campaigns. Whereas we're going to have ancient Joe Biden in there, who will be issuing deep fakes from the White House at press conferences. You wanted this show. You wanted this show. Okay.
I'm just preparing the response. Keep going. Keep going.
He will be issuing deep fakes from the White House.
You see, you know what this is? This is you digging the hole deeper with a shovel. That's what this is.
I would say the same thing if Trump pulls out a victory, just to be clear. Except for the ending will be different.
By the way, can we stop talking about that, please? Can we follow? Can we like officially on this podcast? Can we just kill the narrative that Trump ever had a shot or has a shot in even pretending to overturn a single state, much less this election on any level whatsoever? Can we please just
this? You keep talking. I gotta find something. Keep going. Keep rambling.
I know. Like I think the end of the ramble stops at the fact that they've alleged and thrown a ton of accusations of fraud across a litany of media platforms, but they will not even they won't even accuse, they won't even allege the fraud in any pleading in court. It's blatantly obvious if you're paying attention to and I don't mean you, but the people, if you're paying attention to the facts, and then they had the attorney, and then magically the attorney was no longer a part of the legal team anymore. It's traditional Trump. He likes you until you say something he doesn't like, and then he never liked you. We've seen it time and time again. But
let's see here. Yeah, I'm getting close.
Are you?
I'm getting close.
We just went for on my so I'm simulcasting this. I don't even know what I told you, but I just went on my side. I went from 19 to 4. So whatever I just said wasn't received well.
Wow.
But,
wow.
Sometimes you just gotta throw shade and just see what happens.
Let's go. I'm gonna go. Let me tell you something. We're just gonna let it rip, okay? This they have no idea what they're in for. This will last 3 episodes, and that would be it. Okay. This was November 4th, 8:35 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know if I was in Eastern time when I sent this out, so I don't know if it's translated back to Central time or not. 8:35, either 8:30. It's probably 9:35 Eastern time, so 8:35 Central time. I'm calling it for Biden going to eat breakfast. You always sent that out?
Me.
No, me.
Okay, Mr. Ty. Don't let the facts. Don't let the facts.
Okay. Yep, this was a good run.
Yeah.
It was a good run. Too soon. Too soon. Okay. Unlike the mainstream hacks, I called it for Biden the following morning. So, everyone got mad at Fox News for calling their shot on Arizona. Listen, I called the election the next morning, and it was quite clear to me.
Well, if you want to go that route, I think we both called the election midsummer, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, okay. I was saying on the Biden stuff, just yes, Trump would have to put forth something that he is currently not putting forth. Did voter fraud happen? Yes. Was it enough to change the election? I've yet to see any evidence of that. Is he winning any court cases? He's won 1, I think, out of 40. At some point, he's got to do something to make you think that this is a viable.
Literally, don't let the facts.
What?
Half of what you just said isn't even true.
That's everything I said is true.
No, it's not.
Voter fraud happens every election. That's a fact. It wasn't enough to sway the election. No. Has he put forth? Has he won 1 case? He's won 1 out of 40.
But he hasn't.
Huh?
He hasn't. He hasn't won a single one.
Yeah, he won 1. I don't think it was a big win. I think he won 1.
Oh, incorrect. But it's neither here nor there.
No, it is here or there. You said 100% of what I said.
Find it. I said half. First of all, don't let the facts.
3 things. You said half. How do you split that up? Okay. I gave you 3 points. You said
Lord. Half. Oh Lord.
We can't do this live together because we would fist fight, I think. What is wrong? Voter fraud happened. That's not controversial. Make it controversial.
No,
life.
No. Just, I mean, the way it's said, like, makes it seem. I mean, like, yes, voter fraud, and like, and just to give the the viewers or the viewer some context. I mean, we're talking about like 3 cases out of every 10 million votes. And so when you say voter fraud happens, it makes it seem like it's a thing. I mean, yeah, it's a thing, but I mean, it's like, it's a thing just like, the same person getting electrocuted 19 times in a day is a thing. I mean, it's happened once before, but like, it's not the norm. And I think the frustrating part for me is just the sheer unwillingness of the GOP to just call the guy out for what he's doing. I mean, I think stepping away from the politicization in terms of like which side of the aisle you're on of the issue, I think that there's just a strong sentiment for there's an appropriate way to act in office, and there's an appropriate way to care for the democracy of this country and the process. And if you think that there were legitimate fraud and you think you have a claim, the system is set up so that you're allowed to go at that full force and present your case. If you want to win in the court of public opinion and you're not even trying to litigate anything in the actual courts to prove your case with fact, that tells me all I need to know. And so I'm of the opinion that if they actually had anything that they were concerned about on any level that was like noteworthy, they would have brought it in court already, and they haven't. So, I'm not saying that you disagree. And also, let's not forget that in the last 4 years, Trump did a phenomenal job of packing the courts with his guys. And so these are not Democratic judges that are, that have some ulterior motives coming at him and killing, this out of principle. These are by and large Republican courts, Republican judges. And a lot of the cases, the striking thing to me is a lot of the cases haven't even made it into anything other than just the pleading phase. And the judge has basically said, this pleading doesn't even hold weight to get to to where we need to present a case. Go away.
Okay, so here we go. Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and some name I can't pronounce, Ceciliary versus another name, Allegheny County Board of Elections. Ceciliary, a GOP legislative candidate, challenges 2,349 undated mail-in ballots. Status stayed. Ceciliary sought an injunction on Monday to stop the certificate of votes in whatever county. So there you go. There's your one.
But that. Okay, I misunderstood what you said.
Great. What is this?
Yes, sir. My buddy Joe coming in clutch. Coming in with the win. I love it.
He's going with the facts. He's being sarcastic. That's what it's got to be. I
mean, clearly, but did you have to say that out loud? I mean, Jesus.
Well, if it runs great, I'll mute you or something. So yeah.
All right, let's change this. Let's change the subject. I was
on my 2021 rant. Let me finish my 2021 rant, please. I got to say this. 2021 will be a disaster. I don't care who's president. Okay, that's all. Okay, Biden's gonna be president. Being that Biden's gonna be president, barring some crazy thing that we haven't seen, Dominion server CEO comes out and admits changing ballots in 47 states. Okay, Biden's gonna be president, and the media will pump like the economy's coming back, the economic news is good, the vaccine is working, and yet Main Street USA will be taking a absolute beating. That is my 2021 prediction. Take it, write it in the bank, lock it up, ignore it.
So if Ryan's going to do that, guys, I have just as equally a groundbreaking prediction for 2021. The second day of the calendar is going to be January 2nd.
Wow. Why did I agree to this? No,
I'm just kidding. No. I mean, unfortunately, Ryan, I completely agree with you. I mean, you and I think we actually talked about it on the Bring in the Closures podcast. It's been kind of percolating for that long that I think unfortunately a large portion of this country has kind of got caught up in the the stock market is going well, and the politicians are telling me the country's going really well, and this coronavirus is there's nothing here, and I think there's a lot of sort of false positive narrative that I sitting here today, November 23rd, 2020, I don't think that we've even pretended to reach anywhere near the bottom of this thing, and I think it's going to get really bad, especially if I don't know if you saw, but Mnuchin came out and said that they wanted to Ryan just went away. I hope I'm still on air.
I'm just making sure don't let the facts is prominent when you're speaking.
Thank you, appreciate that. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Mnuchin came out and said that he wanted the Treasury to give the unused funds back. He's kind of signaling that there's no need for a stimulus anymore. Anyone paying attention to this, I would argue, or I would hope, would disagree with that assessment. And so I think there's a lot of levers being pulled, for nefarious reasons, unfortunately. And I will say that, and I'm saying this live on air, so I guess this is going to be archived. I will say that it gives me a little bit of comfort to know and to see, or to at least know that someone else is going to be at the helm, given that I'm of the opinion very strongly that, we saw in the last year, 10 months, what this administration, what the Trump administration, how they're going to treat it. And this whole mentality of we're basically going to ignore the problem and hope it goes away. I don't care if it's a healthcare problem. I don't care if it's a financial problem. I don't care if it's immigration. I don't really care what you're talking about. As a president of the United States and as an administration, a method of maintenance of we're just going to not pay attention doesn't seem to be appropriate, but it also doesn't engender much confidence. And I know that you're smiling, so I'm sure you have some comments to what I just said.
I'm smiling. I changed the ticker up while you're talking.
What's that?
I changed the ticker at the bottom while you're talking.
Oh, I saw. Don't worry. I saw it.
Folks have no idea what this is going to go. They're not prepared for this.
If you put that on again and you broadcast in Portland, you better be careful.
What? Hey, I'm big in Kazakhstan. Okay, watch your mouth. I'm just saying. Did I send you the thing that came out today? Or you saw it on LinkedIn?
The Kazakhstani Brotherhood.
Yes. Okay. Take all of what you just said, and then pair that with John Kerry is going to be Joe Biden's climate czar.
I don't want to.
Okay. Even Joe thinks it's funny. Whatever he's laughing at, I don't know. Probably you, but take all of that you just said. I'm not making this up. He's going to be the let's see here, John.
I like the comment czar. I like that. That's good.
John Kerry. Biden picks John Kerry as climate czar. John Kerry.
So, on a serious note, I mean, I think it's going to be what I think was going to be more interesting than anything. This administration is, I think the Republicans and mostly, the Trump administration and most of the GOP made no bones about over the last 4 years. You either get in line or you're going to meet the wrath, good or bad. I mean, whether or not the Republican got their way or not, you're going to meet the wrath. You're going to get raked over the coals, and just sort of set up this dynamic of it's you or the enemy, and just this very divisiveness. And I think that unfortunately,
hold on.
What? Do you disagree with that?
Well, unless you're about to just blast the liberals for using the Steele dossier and all that. Okay.
Can I? Thank you. And so in response to that, yeah, right. Luck. Yeah, that'll be the first day. In response to that, you saw the left dig in their heels. They wouldn't negotiate. They asked for ridiculous things. They put the goalposts way too far. And the reason I'm saying it that way is because now I think we've walked into more pointedly than any time that I can remember or that I've learned about in history, where we're going to be walking into what I think is just be a tit for tat. So the Trump moved the goalposts way over here in the left's eyes. Now, Biden's elected. Now the left is going to do what they can to move the goalposts back from here to here. And then, let's say the Biden is a one-term president. Then, let's say the Republican gets elected next time. It's just going to be a seesaw of back and forth of, who's in the driver's seat. And what gets lost in that back and forth is the people and the populace and the country moving forward as one. And right now, with what the left has been talking about and how they govern and what they want to do, and what the right wants to do and how they govern and how they go about it, there really is no seemingly sort of middle path to move forward, because they seem to be just going after such different aims. But you call me crazy. I would like to see a scenario where, or a time where you can talk about issues, and it's not, okay, if you disagree with me, you're automatically like the enemy and stupid, and all of the, and not you, but I mean, well, no, but I mean the political arena these days is, if you don't agree with me, I get to call you names. It's like watching people on a playground.
Though you
call me a politician, but I'm not a politician. I can call you names anytime I want. That's different. And also, it's not calling you names if they're well deserved, like just labels. It's very different. An earned moniker is different than you like belittling me.
Oh gracious! Oh gracious!
Are we out of time yet?
No, unfortunately not. I think we got 10 more minutes of this nonsense. We already touched on student loan forgiveness. I didn't even see that in the notes. That's how much I prepared. Bitcoin. I can't take you pounding me on Bitcoin today. Okay, I can't. I just can't do that. Social media censorship.
Wait, can I talk about Bitcoin for just 1 second?
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
If you own any Bitcoin, please sell it. If you're thinking about buying any Bitcoin, please don't. If you own a Trezor, please send it to Ryan with some like hieroglyphics to what the code is. If you'd like to sell me your Bitcoin, I'm buying. End of speech.
You're buying at 17,000.
I'll buy it like 6.
Okay, let's talk about social media censorship. So all of your Republican ranting that you do, as a member of the squad, as you like to call yourself, right? That's you're like the 5th member of the squad, right? And so for all of that.
For the record, I'm part of the tribe. It's not the squad. We're the tribe. Come on, get the phraseology right, please.
Okay, for all your ranting as a member of the tribe, wanting to be part of the squad, on Trump, and I was critical of Trump when he threatened to pull the FTC licenses of the networks that opposed to him. I didn't think he was ever going to do it, but I thought the fact that he did it was like, oh, great. Now when Biden or Kamala, Biden wasn't on the radar, but Kamala or Warren or Bernie get in, and now you've laid the foundation for them. But the social media censorship seems to be something that is far more pervasive on the web, on the left. We talked earlier about socialism versus communism, and kind of jokingly said that. I say jokingly, we're serious, but said that they can come on the show. That is a function of those type of societies. Is that speech, censorship, stuff like that. It has to happen. Otherwise, you have free thinkers, and that's just a bad idea. So are you concerned as we go into the Biden administration, as they both said, a Kamala Harris with Joe Biden administration, are you concerned that we will see increased censorship, also over under how many days out of the office until Trump's kicked off Twitter? Oh, finally, let me just say this. Twitter's like, hey, we're going to give the POTUS handle to Biden. Bro, he tweets from his own handle. Like, no one follows the POTUS handle. No one cares.
Yeah. A lot to unpack there. What are you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say that we're scheduled for another like 8 minutes. I'm good on time, but just so you know, we are.
I'm good. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Let me get this going on. There we go.
You know what we should do? We should just stay live. The first one to drop off air owes the other one like $5,000. Just see who can really stick it out the longest.
I can kick you off though. Deal.
Use your error and malfunctions don't count. So I think social media censorship is really interesting and very topical for today. So in answer to your question, I don't think that Twitter is going to do anything to silence Trump at this point, because net any publicity he gets and Twitter gets is positive for them. I think they want it to be outside of the arena of potentially giving the president a platform to lie to the people. But now that he's not president, I think they're going to let him run roughshod and do whatever he wants.
You want to put a little friendly wager on this?
Yeah,
they will ban him. They will ban him.
All right, we can.
Here's what they're going to say. They're going to say he's already violated. He's already violated the 3-strike rule, and just like they did with Alex Jones and everyone else, they go back retroactively, say he violated, and then they will institute that once he's not in office anymore.
Alex Jones doesn't do anything for Twitter the way that Trump does. I'll bet you. So if I win, I get Red Sox tickets. If you win, you get $200. Too soon?
Okay, I gotta go. That's
too soon.
Wow.
Too soon.
Wow.
So no, I mean, social media censorship. I mean, I think it's. So let me say it this way. I think the backdrop of this is really important. The way that I look at this, or the first thing that I think about when thinking through that issue, is you have the First Amendment, which gives you the freedom of speech. That freedom of speech doesn't give you the freedom from consequences of whatever speech that you said or whatever you chose to say. And so I think there's this mentality of freedom of speech means that I get to say whatever I want without repercussions. That's just patently false. And if your expectation of the First Amendment is that, you're in for a rude awakening. Unfortunately, the reason I preface it with that is because unfortunately, I think that by and large, the left sort of has the mentality of that they're able to say whatever they want with impunity and get away with it, and that they can, the ends justify the means. And I think that.
Sorry.
What's that?
It was an impressive jump by the cat. Sorry.
I mean, for as fat as he is, it is. There's a fat joke in there somewhere. I won't make it. There's a trampoline fat joke in there. It's not important.
I'm going to mute.
No, but so am I nervous that we could certainly see some amplification of efforts to rein in censorship of the internet? Absolutely. I think that's something that, but I see that as a government move, not a platform right or left. I think that the government is in the business of silencing and censoring people, not necessarily one side of the aisle or other. They just do it in very different ways. I mean, look at I don't know if you downloaded Parler and got into any of that at all.
I've downloaded it. If I posted there 20 times, that's maybe that. It's terrible.
Yeah. So I think the other side of the coin is if you don't have some level of censorship, you kind of invite that sort of speech, and that's not beneficial to anybody. And so
I don't know. The app literally never works. So
I mean, it's just aggressively aggressively misogynist and demeaning to. It's. I mean, it's interesting because it's not even necessarily what I would call like the Trump platform, but it's aggressively misogynist. It's aggressively against minorities. There have been a number of FBI raids or whatever based off of Parler messages that ended up in arrests. I mean, it seems to just kind of be a cesspool of negativity, kind of geared around this. I'm American, and it's interesting, and I don't want to take the conversation this route, especially with only a couple of minutes left. But I mean, you and I share a lot of the same worldview. We see a lot of things the same way. But in terms of background, I mean, I don't know if we could have come from much different places. I mean, I was really fortunate that I was born into a well-to-do family in America. But I mean, a lot of my history, a lot of my lineage is Middle Eastern and minority driven. What?
Nothing.
Oh, I was going to say, and so I mean, I think that colors my experience to a degree enough to sort of see, some of the other side here. And I mean, this movement towards like xenophobia and we hate what's different. I mean, it's amazing to me. I mean, you're probably one of the few people in my life that's more of a history buff than I am. I mean, how many times throughout history has the xenophobia card been played, and how many times in hindsight has it been like, yeah, that was really dumb, we shouldn't have done that, and that card just seems to continue to get played time and time again when one part or the other wants to assert control or wants to kind of pretend to be this nationalist movement. It's just got to, we've got to find a different way to be proud of where we came from. If the only way we can figure out how to do it now is to hate the people that aren't like us.
Well, okay. So I'm actually reading a book right now. Neil Ferguson, Empire. Have you read this?
I have not. No.
So I'm just getting into it. And so early on, he's going to talk about whether the British Empire was a positive, or a negative overall. And so one of the things he talks about early on in the book is this idea that, and so he more or less he's trying to take both sides, at least early on. We'll see where he goes. But, so he says, well, if you look at slavery and stuff that the British Empire did, obviously that's bad, right? So that's bad. And he said, but there's also positives that came from it, like they had rule of law, they had economy, stuff like that. And so kind of posing the question, how do you balance those things out? Which is kind of the essence of my Tesla question earlier. If eventually it works, people will negate the bad for the good. And so he's trying to push back on both sides, it seems. And one of the things he says, and there was a guy in 1856 who was saying, Cobden, I think this guy's name, that Cobden was saying that the British Empire should just let free market work, and a lot of these other problems would go away. And Cobden's point seems to be is that if you were let the free market work itself out, part of the issues that you're talking about, they would be there, but they'd be there in a different way. And so here's what I mean. Let's say that there was a gas station in town where you live at, and it said, we don't serve people who look remotely Middle Eastern. Okay, like that was their thing. And so you walk in there one day and you think, I don't think I'm remotely Middle Eastern. I think I'm good. Like, hey, bud, you're out. You'd call me up and you'd say, hey, man, this gas station over here, they won't let me in. How crazy is that? I would then not go to that gas station. I'd be like, listen, if my boy Ben can't go, I'm not going. Like, that's just how it's going to be. And then all of your friends would probably not go. And the gas station across the street that would say, hey, we will take anyone, more or less. They would get all of that business. What we see now is that, and people hear that, like, oh no, that you're supporting going off on this other thing.
What happened?
There's some kind of noise. I don't know. It's gone now. So anyways, and so people don't like to think in those terms because they think, well, we should just shut down the bad gas station. And I understand why. The problem is that when the government comes in and then acts either for the bad gas station or against the bad gas station, that makes people respond fundamentally different. And so when Twitter, which is not the government, but has government protection, gets to act like they do, it draws the lines, I think, differently than if you said, hey, we're going to pick on one group, and people are like, well, no, I'm not going to be a part of that. That's not
so. So going with the theme of this podcast, I'll bring it into an example that I heard. This is not an original. I heard it recently. But I mean, right now we live in a country where you can choose whether or not you want to bake a cake for a gay couple, but you can't choose whether or not to abort the baby that you had by a rapist.
I thought the cake guy lost his court case.
What's that?
The cake guy lost his court case.
But they had to make it, I thought.
That's what I'm saying. He lost.
So you have to bake the cake.
Oh, I thought you said that way down.
No, you have to bake the cake for the person, for the gay person.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to abort the baby that you're going to have by a rapist. It's just this idea of the barrier of personal choice, and like, where does that
Agreed that there's no consistency, and right. There, and so you can do a lot of things. You can, but if you don't wear a mask, then or get the COVID vaccine, because that's coming. I'm excited to see you get your COVID vaccine. There's all kinds of.
Let's talk about it. So May 1st, 2021, there's a COVID vaccine that has been proven to have, let's say, 92% efficacy. You are who you are, so you're healthy. You have no issues. Are you getting the vaccine, Ryan Ray?
It depends. So if I have to go internationally for like a business trip, and if required to enter the country, I would give it a strong consideration. If not, no.
I probably have just about the same answer, actually. I mean, I probably wouldn't unless unless there was some reason that made it make more sense than it does currently.
Yeah, and I mean, to the point, if you get the vaccine and then 4 years from now, if the vaccine doesn't work, Big Pharma just like a year ago, this time last year, everyone was how bad Big Pharma was. Okay, and now this time this year, it's like Big Pharma is the greatest thing ever. They're so good. We should love Big Pharma. And listen, I think both sides are kind of silly on how far they take it, but it's just so funny how fast the narrative changes when it wants to suit your agenda. And so it's like, wait, Pfizer, the Pfizer CEO who had his stock set to sell on August whatever, on the day they announced they had the vaccine, and like, you mean to tell me that wasn't all planned and worked out to the day? Come on now.
What I actually think is actually even funnier than that, because that was hysterical. But then the very next week, the Moderna CEO had the exact same thing happen, and they said the exact same thing. It's like, oh yeah, we couldn't see that coming. That's just random. Are you fucking kidding me?
This is why
really.
Okay, but go back to the Trump supporters. This is why when the media says there is no voter fraud, they look at that and go, see, you're acting like this wasn't a conspiracy to hide the vaccine to hurt Trump. And it's quite possible that the Big Pharma was hiding the vaccine progress to hurt Trump based upon the stock sales. Like, it's hard to look at that and say that they weren't, because they came out, go back and look, about 3 weeks before the election, they came out and said that their phase 3 trials were not going well. And then what?
I'm going to let you finish. I have a response, but I'm going to let you finish.
I'm not saying it's real. I'm saying this is what feeds into the narrative.
Right. No, but the narrative falls apart when you look at it this way. If you are a business owner in this country, net, forgetting the humanitarian causes that you care about, forgetting your empathy machine, if you are a business owner, would you prefer that Trump or any Democrat on earth is president?
Big business owner Biden, small business owner Trump, 100%. Joe Biden paid $3 million in taxes.
What in the world?
Do you read the War Room? Do you read the War Room?
Why would you want, as a big business, why would you want the Democratic machine that wants more of your money and wants to take more of the control and wants to regulate you to death? Why would you want them in office? What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
By the way, we're blowing way past this 45-minute limit. We buckle in. We're in for the long haul now. Buckle in.
Okay, we'll wrap it up with this. We pick this back up next week. Okay. Your boy Mark Zuckerberg testified to Congress a few months back, right? And he said that he would be happy to work with Congress on regulations. That is exactly why they love big government, because the tech companies, the tech companies, big business, they want you to squeeze you out of they want to squeeze the Main Street guy out. So yes, they love the regulatory stuff. It doesn't hurt them like it hurts me and you. They go back to the Obama EPA methane emissions rules. It was killing the small producers. Was it hurting Exxon? No. Was it hurting Chevron? No. Okay, it's hurting them in the sense of, yeah, it's not as efficient, but they love it. That is exactly why they did that.
So really, really good point. I guess I think the caveat that I would make to what you're saying, or the way that I think I'm internalizing what you're saying, is that comparatively from big business to the small business owner, if you have a choice of being a small business owner and a big business owner, and you're under a Democratic administration, you would prefer to own a big business. But I still say that net, if you're a business owner, you'd prefer a Republican administration and Republican governance. You don't agree?
I think small business owners probably would, because of regulatory stuff, but I don't think big business actually cares about that. I think they lean in on regulation. Listen, Exxon donated 41% of its campaign funds to Joe Biden. Exxon. Do you know who Exxon is? Have you heard of them? It's a small company. Yeah.
I was going to say that's that small. That's that mom and pop, right?
Yeah, mom and pop. Yeah, Chevron, another mom and pop. 23% last time I looked of their campaign funds went to Joe Biden. They want the regulation. It helps them out. Like they play both sides, but they're going to win regardless.
Sure. So what if I told you that because of what you just said, they were going to win regardless, that it's a massive win on the geopolitical landscape for them to throw a ton of money at the Democrat when they actually really want the Republican to win? What if I told you it was purely a CYA and an optics play and not actually that's where they want their dollars to go?
I don't think it's I think if we want to get into the discussion a little bit deeper, it's definitely not a binary, like they want Biden, they don't want Trump. So let's go back to Rex Tillerson. When Rex Tillerson was announced as Secretary of State, people are like, oh man, that's an oil and gas guy right there. That's a businessman. All right, Trump's getting the business boys. It's like, no. He is a diplomat of the highest order. ExxonMobil CEO is dealing with international politicians, prime ministers, whatever they got around the world. Rex Tillerson is a diplomat, a politician, because the CEO of Exxon, that's what you do. You're dealing with multinationals all over the world. Right. I think, whereas, Ben Samuels, Ryan Ray, Bob Smith, we're just dealing with other folks in our area. So I just think that yes, it is very, so why Exxon might donate, I don't know who the CEO is now, I can't remember, but why they might donate to Biden or to Trump. There's a lot of reasons going on. But I don't think they're sitting there on election night going, oh, gosh, Joe Biden won. I think like, yeah, whatever. We're going to get these are the regulations. This is what they're going to do. And we're probably going to pick up some acreage in the Permian because, 40% of the small producers are going to go out or whatever it is.
Did you read about the, I think they had it in Atlanta, but did you read about that meeting of like the top like 100, Fortune 500 CEOs that all met to kind of game plan what they wanted to do last week?
I was hosting.
Were you?
Yeah, I was hosting. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. No comment. No comment. One day, you and I are both going to be sitting.
500 companies, you said, right?
One day, you and I are both going to be sitting in Davos at the World Economic Forum.
Probably going, yeah, boy. We said we're going to be here. We finally. I have to clean the table. Be right back.
Oh well, no. I mean, I'm going to be opening doors for people.
Yes,
yeah. No, but so as here's what I think I'm getting at. When I look at something like that, so and I don't think it was the top 100, but a litany of the top Fortune.
Result, but yes, I did see the headline, to be serious.
So a litany of the top Fortune 500 company CEOs met last week, and I think it was in Atlanta, basically just a game plan. What to do if Trump decides to go full force and kind of tear things apart. What to do if Biden ends up getting handed over the keys for a peaceful transition, just sort of like setting the landscape. And they met, and the first time was, I think it was the beginning of last week. And so the result of the meeting was basically nothing's really hit the fan yet. Let's just continue to watch, and we're not going to do anything. They met again it was over the weekend or end of last week. And the response had changed basically to, okay, in the relative near term, and that's, I think he said in like the next week or so, if Trump and his team don't start to transition, and let Biden start the transition, that we're going to come out in force and make an announcement, basically putting our the weight of our support and our response behind Biden, and that's just what we're going to do. But we'll let Trump have another week. I wasn't in the room. I couldn't tell you if all of that was bullshit. I can't tell you if the news story that I was reading was written to, obviously to cast shade in one way or another. No idea. Have no facts of the situation. Don't have the facts. That being said, when I see something like that, when they meet, the answer is let's not do anything. Then they meet again. They say, okay, so unless there's a peaceful transition, we're going to throw a weight around. If they were looking to have the Democrat take office and they were behind that move, I think that's how they play it. If they were more, on the Republican side, I think that they do it differently. I don't know. I don't know if that was neither here nor there, but
it's perfect. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of the show.
It does matter.
Well, I mean, but
wait, hold on. Wait, is that a Mr. Skellington on the top there on the corner?
Huh? What?
What's the thing on the left hand or the right hand side of the shelving unit behind you on the very top?
over here.
Yeah.
That is the Predator.
What is it?
The Predator.
Oh no, the other one, the other side.
That's Worf.
No, one more.
Rhinoceros.
Keep going.
That's Star Trek Borg Picard.
Oh really? Okay, never mind.
That is Superman. That is the Terminator skull. Hey,
Hold on. I feel left out. Hold on. Oh God. Oh.
Yes. Squeeze it. It meows.
What's that?
You squeeze it. It purrs your mouth.
All right, buddy. Well, it's it was good to get back in the streets. I appreciate this.
We're bringing the fire. We'll be here weekly at Monday, having it out, and we're gonna have to have like an offline pact that says that whatever we say during this 45 to an hour minute show cannot be held for or against our friendship, because it's gonna get a little tension. I mean, I can just feel it. There's gonna be, you're gonna say a lot of dumb stuff. That's normal, but I'm going to call you out publicly for it, and so your feelings might get hurt. We should thank Joe for staying with us. Joe, we appreciate it. Joe's a friend of mine, and so
friend of ours. No, I do appreciate that. And let me just say, since Ryan, since you mentioned something about fire, next time you're going to fire up the grill for some steaks, just make sure to modulate.
Whoa.
Too soon? Too much?
Until next week, don't let the facts.